Hello.
Yep.
It works. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Okay. I will talk about the HR in agriculture and how the market has an evolution in the next few years and the next years, not only the last few years. So very quickly, who I am, I'm Hugues Dumas, the co-CEO of an alliance called Synovivo and Manageria. We are dedicated companies for HR recruitment in agriculture and agri-food business, and also all the biotechnologies. We're gonna share the discussion in 4 quick points, which are data information, HR activities, trend of agriculture, employment, evolution of the agri-food market, and HR impact in generations. Okay, what is our activities in Synovivo Manageria? I will just take 1 minute to explain what we do, because it's why we have a good overview of the market. And the market has a different trends for now 3 or 4 years. Of course, the pandemic has an impact, but also the generations and the social expectations. And why we have this input in our market and how do we know it? It's because Synovivo is dedicated for agriculture, agro-industry, and biotechnology, AgTech also. And we are coming from the market with consultants knowing very well the market. And we are not only HR consultants. We come from the market, we have a pair of boots, and we like to say that we have dirty boots and HR brain. And we have also the team Manageria, which is a team dedicated to food industry markets. They all come from industries, I can't say the name of the companies, but a lot of companies that you know, working for ingredients, food tech, all the processing coming from ingredients to formulations. So we are deeply involved in the market from France, because we are a French company at the at the beginning, and then at international level. And what we do recruitment for executives and experts. We have also operational consulting activity, interim management, and training, depending the topics our customers want. How we are organized? We have 2 hubs to cover the world at this time. A hub from France, and we cover Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And we have a hub from Malaysia. My partner there, Thomas Le Goff, in Malaysia for more than 10 years, is covering our activities for all Southeast Asia. Okay, now let's start. What is the trend of agricultural employment in the world? Not a good trend for employment. That means for us, it should be not a good business, but in fact, it is a good business, because the number of people decreased from 10% from the year 2025 to the year now. We are now around 26. We estimate 26% of the populations of the employment is in agriculture. So we lose more than 10% in around 20 years, which is a huge decrease. But this is explained by the way that we produce. We produce much more with less people and less input. So we can confirm that by these trends. Also another point, and I will highlight it after, there is a point which is the maturity of the market. If you compare the maturity of a Southeast Asia market to a West Europe or US, the observation will be totally different. That's what I want to show in these slides. I'm sorry, there is only one slide like that. It's not very easy to read. Can I show that? It works. You can see that you have 2 levels of countries and markets. One where the market employment is more than 35% in agriculture, and one where it's below 15%. I was talking about the maturity of the market. Clearly you can see that all the, okay, we will not do all the market, but if you see Morocco here, if you see Vietnam, if you see Malaysia, Indonesia, all, I think there is one which is the blue one here is the average of the Southeast Asia. And after, when you go on the below, if you go, sorry, below 15%, you can see that the market is France, it's Netherlands, it's Belgium, it's US, because the number of people working for agriculture is linked to the maturity of the market and the way to produce in agriculture. Okay, of course, if anyone has question, I will appreciate. Okay, evolution of the market. I was talking about the maturity of the market, which is very different between a high competitive market and developing countries and markets. I say countries and markets because sometimes you are very new markets in mature countries. It's the example of biocontrol and biostimulation at this time, or even protein alternative of proteins. Sometimes those new markets, those niche, have the same behavior in a mature market, but it's a developing market. So we have to take care between countries and markets. Don't mix both of them. So what is a mature market and a competitive market? Sorry, mature country and the competitive market. It's where the cost of the market share is very high. What is the developing market and countries? It's when the market share is accessible with less input. So now if we come back to the HR topic, which is the topic of the discussion, the trends, that's very, very important. When you are on the West Europe, when you are in US, when you are in some part of Asia, people on the employees are not looking for the same KPIs, the same indicators than when you are in developing markets. When you do an interview with a 35 years candidate in let's say in Germany, the first question will be what are the values of your companies? What are your CSR process? And when you start with the same slot of people in Vietnam, in Malaysia, in Philippines, the first question will be, what will be my salary? It's totally different. And that's a trend where Asia will move to more mature behavior. Like I said, I use the example of West Europe because from France it's much more easy for us to have example. So, sorry. Oh, how do I get back? So, social expectations, it's totally social expectation is the first request when you have a candidate in mature markets. Then another things, it's politics and regulatory issues are not the same. When you are in agriculture or food industry, globally in many countries you can sell whatever you want. And some mature markets has to tight the market, and it means that the behavior, the knowledge, the background of the students or the candidates will be different, because the question will not be where I want to go, it's where I can go. And the mindset of the candidates are not the same. Then the third point for mature markets, it's what are the innovation and what are the product differentiation you have in your portfolio. That's the third point that we can see in the interview for the candidates in mature markets with companies in food industry and agribusiness. In developing countries and markets, what are the first questions, or what are the KPIs of the candidates and the markets and the companies? They are looking for production efficiency. Whatever the politics, whatever the regulatory, they always find bypass to produce. The question is only about production efficiency. The social expectations, clearly it's on the second, third rows on the expectations. Then what is the price? The ability to purchase, the cost of the life is. So the second question is, what is the price in the market? And the third one, it's not innovation, not differentiation, because usually they use product of mature market to get in their own market. So the question is not what will be the differentiation of my product, but is how can I distribute your product in my market? And the brain, the mindset of the candidates are not the same. In innovation and differentiation, you have to get a very high level of technicity, technical knowledge, when you are in developing countries and you are talking about distribution network because the product is already existing in other markets, you have to be really business focused, much more than technical focus. Of course, in agronomy or in food industry, you have to know about your product, but the distribution behavior, the business behavior is much more important. Okay, HR impact and evolution of the market. So we keep on the same mature and highly competitive market and developing countries. What wants a candidate? First question of the candidate was social expectations and what is your project? Where do you want to go? What's your strategy? That's the first question. Then it's values of the companies. I said already on the previous slides, what are your values in the long term? Are you only about financial companies, production companies? Do I feel free to behave in this company with the values that we share? And then the work conditions. Do I have to work at home? Do I have to work? Do I have to travel? Very good question at this time. When you hired a international business developer, and he said, "Okay, but I don't want to take the plane." Why? Because I want to take care of the environment. So you want to be international business developer, but you don't take the plane. So the work conditions is very important and make the decisions of the candidates. And about the developing countries markets, what the candidates expect. I told you the slide before, salary, the first question. The value of the companies is not that much important. But the employer brand, do I work with an international company? Is my marketing, my own marketing through a company is very well known or not? Will it be useful for my next step in my cursus? That's very important. And also in the potential of internal development, that the company will bring me as high I am, my ambition is. Sorry. So I want to grow in the society. I'm not delivering services. I'm working because I want to get more and more involved in responsibilities with high managing positions, and it's much more important in developing countries because people want to grade much more than in social development companies. Okay? Another impact we will not change, and that's very important. This point makes the difference between we are not selling microphone, mobile, or whatever you want. Agriculture, education, and health, they are not fads. They are not trendy. They are not fashion. If you don't drink, if you don't eat, if you have no education, if you have no health, you die. Which is not the case. If you have no mobile phone, you don't die. No problem. Okay, it's going to be a bit difficult to communicate today, but you don't die. So the new generation, on those three topics, so agriculture linked to food, of course, there is a passion on the market. Candidates are really focused on their job. They want to work in the agriculture by choice. It's not like, okay, I wake up in the morning and say, okay, agriculture is a good, it's a good job, it's a good market. No, people usually, they come from the market, they come from agriculture background or from the family, from the environment, and that's very, very important. So patience still very, very important in the behavior of people and candidates in agriculture and food, which is not the case in many other markets. Then, this new generation remains passionate, and also the social expectation changes. I tell it already 3 times, but in agriculture and food industry, when you are hiring people, you hire people on usually long-term project. And it's when you are, okay, I met today a guy who is building a greenhouse for a R&D project. The R&D project needs more than 8 years of investment only to have the first results of the first product. It's not the same when you are doing IT, apps, whatever you want in communications. Usually you have a project, a few days after you have the results. So the social expectations change, but the long-term strategy remain. And that's something that it's very specific for HR and candidates. They have to be committed on a long-term period, and it makes our difference in agriculture and food industry. Okay, I want to show you in the next minutes, I want to show you some figures coming from a study. So I'm sorry it's not Asia, but I checked and I matched it with many other studies in Asia, and some of them are very close. In what axis of improvement the new generations of candidates are expected from the company? First of all, in mature markets, they want that their companies has a good image in the society. If your company has a bad image of society, the candidates won't apply on the job. Then, the communication and the job understanding. Today, we need to have simple tasks. If you have a business developer, if you have a breeder in, I don't know, in zucchini, if you have a formulation specialist expert in for shrimp market, you have to know exactly what you have to do. And the employer today asks too much to each new candidate. Digital transformation, it's another point. You have to know if your company is on the trend and they are not old-fashioned. Too much traditions, sometimes the candidates say, oh, it's a bit old-fashioned companies, I'm not very keen to get in the company. Food quality, societal issues for food quality. Do my product will save the world. Corporate image, it's a bit the same than social perception. Then transparency. A lot of companies saying, okay, you are doing an interview with a new generation candidate, and you always say, I cannot tell you, it's confidential. Okay, you have to do it, but okay, I'm sorry, I cannot talk about the market, it's confidential. And the new generation has access to all the information on the web. When you are doing an interview and you don't give the information, transparency is a real issue and problem. And then, salaries. Why I put salaries here? Less than 20% of the people ask more salary when they are doing an interview. They ask more salaries, but it's not the first indicators of their choice. Okay, last one with figures and numbers. Main values that candidates wants to have in agriculture and food industry market. To have a new job, of course, and to commit in a new project. So they want a team spirit. When you ask a candidate today, a 28 years old candidate, what do you want? I want collaboration spirit. I want a team spirit. I don't want to work alone. Then say, what do you want? They say, I want innovation. I want to carry a project which is not already on the market. I want to bring something new. Then it's quite interesting. Performance. How efficient is your product? That's also another point coming on the third positions. Okay, I do it quite quickly because I don't have time. Passion of the job. I told you in food industry and agriculture, also education and health, that you have a lot of passion. Trust, reactivity, vocation to feed the world, relationship internally of the companies, sharing informations, transparency was quite the same, so it was the other slide. And also, something very interesting, pleasure. People want to have pleasure to work. So that's a very good mapping of all the information that you can use to improve your brand employment, your employer brand to the candidates. Okay, now I just finish quickly with that. Profile evolutions, generations, pandemic effect. Okay, I want to produce lettuce, but I want to stay in my living room. I'm sorry, guys, it's impossible. So home office is very interesting, but you cannot stay at home. If you want to produce, I don't know, like red beet salad, if you cannot do it at home. Home office is not possible. So you have to switch your brain from what you want to what you can do. And the new generation for that has a problem with that, and the pandemic effect, they believe that web conference does everything, can do everything. And sometime when you are 25 years, you believe in it. Another very important evolution we have, before we were recruiting an agronomist, expert of formulations, ingredient specialist, I don't know, whatever you want. Now, you are recruiting an agronomist with business knowledge. You have a profile coming from biochemistry, you ask him marketing. You have a food processing specialist, you ask him knowledge in management. It's quite new in the developing market. On the mature market, this switch has been done 15 years ago. Now it starts to come more and more on the developing market. And then, very important last point, the corporate HR department has to think about what do I need, what do I offer, but what does the candidate want? And today, the offer and the demand are getting very far, each one from the one from the other. And this is clearly the topic, the end. Just keep in mind that today we are recruiting every day. We have some candidates. We have much more demand from the companies, but the companies are not linked to what is on the market. They say, okay, I want an expert on that. Say, hey guys, you have nobody in the market. How you want? Yes, but I need it. Okay, maybe you need it, but you will not find it in the market. You have to change your strategy. And it's a new start for many, many companies, and agriculture and food tech with a environmental request and social expectations has to move on that. And that's why we have the talent shortage today. So I don't know if you have any executive recruiter here in the room, but you cannot find talents. That's what we are here to help you to do that. And the talent shortage usually, it's not because there is no candidates. It's because the request of the companies is not linked to the market. Okay? Thank you very much. I try to be in 15, 20 minutes. And if you have any questions, I don't know, I can be on the side and to discuss with you. Thank you very much.